Hey gang, Sally here. Hope you're having an amazing and fascinating day. I know I am. And today I'm doing another viewer request video. I'm going to talk to you about how it is that I find places to camp and how I find places to camp may or may not work for the way that you want to camp. And part of what we're going to talk about is what style of camping do you really prefer? What's the right thing for you versus what's the right thing for me? So, as always, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you taking your time to watch my videos. And if you haven't already, please do consider subscribing. If you think you are, double check to make sure. Likes, thumbs up, comments, all that stuff really helps the channel. And I'm going to just keep saying it. My goal is to hit 5,000 subscribers this year and build community. And you can be part of the help to make that happen. So, once again, thank you for that. We're going to roll the intro and get right into this.
Wake up with the sun in our eyes. Sally forth, no need for goodbyes. Journey calls, let's roll the dice. Every mile a new surprise.
Let's start by talking about different styles of camping. Many people, and I was one of them for quite a long time, really until I went full time, believe that you need to be in some kind of organized campground or RV park or RV resort. That's what I thought. And in fact, that's part of the reason that I bought one of the memberships that I have. And we're going to talk about memberships and so forth and whether or not they're worth the money as we move along through this. But even if I was just traveling uh, and just stopping overnight, I thought I had to do it in an RV park with full hookups, which was just crazy. Just crazy, I tell you, crazy. When I finally learned that that wasn't true, it opened up a whole world of possibilities for me, some of which include Walmart, not my favorite. So let's talk about what that really means. So for me, what it means in terms of preference is as a full timer, as an introvert, my preference is to camp out in the middle of nowhere largely by myself. Sometimes I like to travel with a person. A friend of mine will travel together for a bit. I had one friend that I traveled with for 7 months. Neither of us thought it was going to last that long, I think. But we just, we were getting along fine and we had a lot of the same similar interests and so forth. So it worked out just fine. Most of the time, it doesn't last that long. Although I have another friend that I'm planning to spend some time with this coming summer. So we'll see how long that would last. You never know. And so my preference really is to be in the middle of nowhere by myself for the most part. But that doesn't always work. And in fact, case in point, I'm sitting in an Army Corps of Engineers park in Texas right now because the weather was not cooperating. And, my goal is to chase 73 degrees. 70 degrees is not quite warm enough for me. I like 73 degrees. And I jokingly have this motto that if I have to wear long pants all day long for more than 2 days in a row, I am in the wrong location. I'm definitely in the wrong location right now. I've had long pants on for almost a week now, all day long. I think I had shorts on for about an hour one of those days, when I first got to this campground. Anyway, I mean, my personal preference is I just like wearing clothes. I'm not a nudist or anything like that. I don't like feeling encumbered by having to wear multiple layers of things and the effort that it takes to get dressed. And all of that has been magnified for me while I've been parked at this Corps of Engineers campground, which I'm truly appreciative of, don't get me wrong, waiting out the snowpocalypse and the Arctic blast and all the other nasty weather stuff that's been going on. Because what happened was, when I checked the weather forecast pretty frequently, and I saw that bad weather was coming in where I was previously camped, and so I spent some time looking for a location that I could get to that was going to get me out of the path of the bad weather. Well, guess what? There wasn't any. There was no place that I was going to be able to get within the 2 days before it started getting really nasty that wouldn't have me bypassing things that I wanted to see, and I preferred to avoid that, and I ended up having to bypass some stuff anyway. Um, and get me to a point where, we might be having very low temperature, very low 30s, might get down to freezing during the overnight course. But what the weather forecast was predicting was, temperatures as low as 19 degrees overnight. And in fact, it was 19 degrees when I woke up this morning. So there's that. And interestingly, and so I chose an Army Corps of Engineers park so I could have water and electric available to me because it was important to me to be able to run my electric space heater so that I wouldn't blow through an entire tank of propane in under a week and still be able to keep the place relatively warm. Running my propane heater at my propane furnace on board and my electric plug-in heater, my space heater, simultaneously all night long, and then really cranking up the furnace this morning. It was 66 degrees first thing this morning. It was 19 degrees outside. And again, not bad. I'm living in a tin can basically with relatively little in the way of insulation. So not the worst thing in the world, but not really the weather that I want to be in. So I had to, adapt and figure out how to make this work. So my first choice is always going to be boondocking. My second choice is probably going to be, and we're going to talk about different styles of boondocking, probably in a separate video, because that's like a whole big thing unto itself. My second choice is Army Corps of Engineers. And part of the reason for that is that I love water. And Army Corps of Engineers parks are, all, sorry, somebody was going by. Army Corps of Engineers parks are almost always on water or very close to it. So that's why they're usually my second choice after whatever boondocking. And especially if I want to be in a position where I can have hookups for some period of time. Next up on the list might be state parks, but truthfully for me, I find state parks to be pretty expensive. So I'll look more for other federal choices like Forest Service, which most of the time doesn't have any hookups. And kind of my feeling is if I'm going to go to a campground and pay to have not hookups, I'll just go boondock someplace because I prefer not to pay to park. And I demonstrated that fairly clearly in my 2024 costs video, during which I talked about what my cost for camping was last year. And in fact, that's why I'm doing this, because one of my viewers on that video was astounded that my camping costs could be so low. But it's because I mostly boondock. And so last year I spent $1,025 on camping fees, but I spent $250 of that in one night at an RV resort in the Florida Keys, just north of Key West. And I did it very deliberately. It was kind of like my Christmas present to myself because I wanted to be able to take my time doing what I wanted to in Key West and not have to feel like I was going to have a super long driving day that was going to be 240 miles to get out of, the main Keys all in one day. But I don't do that very often. In fact, I don't think I've ever paid that much for a single night of camping before. But it was oceanfront, and I had my own little private beach, so it was very nice from that aspect. Very expensive though. So if you take that $250 out of the $1,025 that I spent $775 for the entire year on camping fees. And part of that was because I chose to spend a significant portion of my time in New Mexico state parks. I actually started in New Mexico state parks in November of 2023 and spent most of November and then moved over to Arizona for Arizona and California for December, January, and February, and then back into New Mexico state parks at the very beginning of March. So from March until pretty much the end of July, so basically 4 months, I was in New Mexico state parks, which were not completely free. At the very least, if I was making reservations, I had a $12 reservation fee for each 14-day period. And if I was using hookups, I had a $4 hookup fee for every 12-day period. So basically, $136 a month for those 4 months. That was the majority of my camping fees were in New Mexico state parks. And there have been a few other times I've done a couple of other Army Corps of Engineers parks, and typically what I do is I will use a campground when I have weather-related issues or if I have some other issue that makes me want to have power available. And in either case, I try and take to advantage of having unlimited power and unlimited water in those circumstances to do things like extra cooking so that I can, freeze some stuff to have for later. So, Army Corps of Engineers camps, other federal campgrounds, and so why federal, right? Because I have a golden access pass issued by the National Park Service, which is now considered to be an interagency pass, and it's good at any federal park, Corps of Engineers, National Park Service, U.S. Forest Service, and I think there are a few others as well. And Louisiana State Parks also honors the Golden Access Pass. and the whatever the senior version of the, I think it's Golden Age Pass, I think is what they call it. So if you have that pass from the federal government, you can pay half price camping fees. And typically that means that I'm paying about 15 bucks a night in an Army Corps of Engineers camp, sometimes a little bit more, sometimes a little bit less. I think the least I paid has been $10 for water and electric, and I gotta love that. I think about the most that I've paid typically has been about $20. Where I am right now at 17.50 a night. I'm grateful to be here. And so that's part of the way that I keep my camping costs low. I avoid RV parks that are, especially those that are privately run, especially chains. I don't like chains of anything. I don't like chain food. I don't really particularly like chain grocery stores, but I do most of my grocery shopping at Walmart because it's consistent across the country. Um, but RV parks, RV resorts, I find that they're just expensive, and because they're trying to maximize the amount of money that they're making, and it's more about making money than it is about the camping experience per se, in my opinion. The sites are pretty close together. I don't want to be that close to people. And in fact, when I'm choosing like a Corps of Engineers camp or a Forest Service camp or whatever, I always look at the campsite map, and I'll also look at it on Google Maps. And from there, I'll try and pick the one that is like has the most space around it before the next site's located next to it. I did that here. And then as it turns out, the day after I got here, a lot of people left. So the three sites to the left of me are completely empty, which is awesome. And oh, another neighbor left today. So we are down now, I think, to like 6 or 7 campers left in this campground. That's it. So that's what I choose. Now, how do I choose where to camp? I use a couple of different apps, and I also have some issues that I consider when choosing where to camp. So, among other things, I usually have a basic trajectory, like where am I headed, right? Then I figure out if I need to find a campground, especially if I'm moving regularly, if I need to find a campsite that will be close to that so I can camp overnight and then get to whatever that site is the next morning. Or if it's something where I'm going to drive to that site, do the thing at the site, and then find something on the other side of it in the direction that I'm heading for late in that afternoon. And it's all it's kind of a hassle in terms of planning. That's the hardest part of being in travel mode, as I have been since last July. And so I've basically been, moving pretty frequently, most of the time daily, for over 5 months, which is very tiring, by the way. I'm looking forward to sitting still for longer. I've been enjoying my time here at this campground because of that, because it's just, moving every day is tough. And so that may not be what I want to do all the time, right? I want to be able to take the time to enjoy what I'm seeing. And a lot of times, especially in the East, as I have been, that may mean that I'm spending the night in the parking lot, either the night before I'm going to go do something or the evening after I've done something, simply because of proximity and the amount of distance that I'm willing to drive, which has become much less than it used to be. I was talking to another friend of mine about that this morning, and she said it was some dismay, like she's not comfortable driving as much as she used to. And here's what happens. As we get older, I think most of us are less comfortable driving as much as we used to. So for me, I'm pretty comfortable up to about 140-ish miles a day. I get much more than that. It's just really, really tiring. And by the time I get stopped, I don't want to do anything else. So that's about my limit. And what I said to my friend this morning is, I'm retired. I don't have a schedule. I got all the time in the world. I can take as much time as I want getting from point A to point B. And in fact, I did a calculation today because I'm heading toward Quartzsite, Arizona. And the calculation that I did this morning was, how far am I from Quartzsite, Arizona, if I was going there directly from where I am now? And the answer is 1,110 miles. If I take that 1,140 miles and divide it by 140 miles, then it would take me 7.9 days to get to Quartzsite. 8 days, basically. which means I could be in Quartzsite in 8 days if all I wanted to do was drive there and just stop along the way. Now, that's assuming I can find a place to stop at exactly 140 miles and that there's nothing else that I want to do, and I'm pretty sure neither of those things are true. But what that does tell me is that I'll be in Quartzsite in probably about 2.5 weeks from the time that I leave here. Because that'll give me a little bit of time to be able to do a few things along the way. There's not that much I want to do because I've done this route so many times. But I've also developed the habit lately of staying off of interstates as much as possible. I'd much rather drive on 2-lane roads than on interstates. That's my preference. It may not be yours. I just like to keep things as low stress as possible. And, high-speed driving on an interstate is not low stress as far as I'm concerned. So that's just me. That's just me. So how do I find the places? I use a couple of different apps. Once I've got my basic trajectory in mind, then I'll use Campendium to look for places to be able to stop. And Campendium has a function where you can filter for free campsites. And I always do that first. That's the first thing I want to see. And a lot of times that's nothing more than like roadside pull-offs, gravel lots where trucks park overnight, usually not the places I really want to be. But that's always my first choice. And if I'm looking for something more like this, my first choice is always going to be Corps of Engineers. I actually have a book that delineates all of the Corps of Engineers parks. I have another one just for BLM camping, and I have another one just for U.S. Forest Service camping. And so, as much as I love tech, it's actually sometimes easier to get the book out, look at the state that I'm going to be in, because then I can see the entire state and know where my trajectory is going to be and whether or not I'm going to have to drive out of my way or how far out of my way to be able to see the thing that I want to get to the campground that I want to get to. And then I'll zone in a little bit closer, looking for other things along the way. If that doesn't work, if I can't find, and this is talking about needing and wanting hookups, then my next go-to after Corps of Engineers is going to be Passport America. Now, I'm a lifetime Passport America member, and that's been my go-to for quite a long time. I used it all the time when I had my travel trailer, and I thought I still needed full hookups every night. The thing that I discovered this past winter is no Passport America parks were available to me in Florida at all because I'm in prime season during the winter in Florida. So that wasn't a possibility. I found plenty of free camping in Florida, though, which was awesome. So if Passport America is not the right option, I'm also a lifetime Escapees member. So that'll be the next thing that I look at will be Escapees. And this is talking about I'm looking for hookups, right? I'm not looking for free camping necessarily. I'm looking for hookups right now. So for me, it's Corps of Engineers, Passport America, and or federal campgrounds. Let's just say it that way. Passport America, Escapees, they rank about the same. Some casino campgrounds have cheap or free electric hookups as well. Most are not free. Some are cheap. Fairgrounds are often cheap, not always. County parks, city parks, and for the most part, many of them are not beautiful. But I've found some free, full hookup city parks that I'm glad to have them, and I've been grateful to be there. There's one in Nevada that I really like. It's not particularly attractive, but it was a great place to be able to hang out for a little while, and it had a super high signal, which was what I needed. And so, if I'm sitting there working or I'm waiting out weather or whatever, I don't need to have a wonderful view necessarily to be able to do that. So those are some of the ways in which I find camping. Now, I'm really curious, what are the ways that you use to find camping, and what's your style of camping? Please leave me a comment down below. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, please consider subscribing to the channel. Thanks so much for being here. We'll see you next time. Bye for now.